Well, you know who else makes amazing living? The word salad monster herself.
Or is it that
Kamala
time?
Harris, because it's that time, Tim.
Well,
It's that time. I have put this neatly and tucked deliciously in our show notes. Please, sir, you take the wheel because Gun Grabbers is your baby.
okay.
This is your thing.
Here we go.
You take the wheel.
Now, folks, there's two things. Watch this video very closely. Listen very carefully. Listen to the voice inflection. Listen to what she's saying and try to follow along. And then we'll have a conversation afterwards. Doc, if you could play number 15 for us.
I'm pointing to the direction of what I believe is the Capitol. And what needs to happen in terms of people who otherwise have evidenced themselves having a feckless quality to show some courage to reject the false notion that suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away, when in fact it's just reasonable. I support the Second Amendment, but it's reasonable to say we need an assault weapons ban. It's reasonable to say we need universal background checks, that we need red flag laws. It's reasonable to say that if you want to deal with violence in the community, you also got to understand it's not only about mass shooting situations, which are horrific, and it's about everyday gun violence.
Where was this recorded? Do you know what state?
No.
Because
Where?
I'm going to guess a southern state. Because y'all know, if you go over here and you take a look, I think the White House is over here. And if you kind of take a look at these these mass shootings, they're all horrible, y'all. Don't y'all know that? She is speaking with a southern accent.
In and out.
Yeah, well, it's fading in and out, but it's like, man, when politicians do that, it drives me nuts. Bill Clinton was the master of that. You know, I think even Hillary got busted doing that. Doing the southern.
Oh, no, she absolutely.
Yeah, I know she did. That's right. Maybe I'm thinking of her. She'd like,
I ain't at all tired.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. No, 100%. So you know what? I think there's two ways that we approach this first.
Okay.
Because this clip, there's so much here. I think that we hit the Second Amendment stuff on the second half. We'll do a rerun here in a second. But the first one, I think, is the nonverbals, the verbals, and then also the content and the physical body language that she was doing. Because I picked something up here. I'm going to run it by you. This is pure conjecture for the internet. She was exhibiting a lot of signs of someone who was drunk.
That I would agree with. She drunk or on something. Maybe she found the white powder in the White House. I mean, well, that would probably given her more energy. She was a little bit slurring her speech there.
She'd be all spicy.
Yeah, she had a 2 martini lunch maybe before the press conference.
Maybe,
but don't you know? It's like
you can't do it. You can't do that.
I don't know what relevance this is, but I'm pretty sure the White House is over there somewhere, and guns are bad. Right. I'm not saying we're going to take guns away. I'm just saying we want to take all the guns away that load themselves, and then we want to pass laws that we take away your Fifth Amendment rights, and we just take your stuff because a jilted X decides you shouldn't have guns anymore. But I love the Second Amendment.
You as a Valley girl is a thing. Dude, you as a Valley girl, Kamala Harris is a thing. I just let that go. But no, like seriously, she's shifting left and right, back and forth. She's squinting with her eyes barely open because she's like trying to focus. She's pointing in random directions, not knowing where the Capitol is or it isn't. She's slurring her speech. She's fading in and out of a Southern accent, and she's losing volume control.
Yeah.
And she can't deliver and stay on topic. Bro,
yeah,
I can't prove it, but those are all signs of the alcohol.
Yeah, that or she's just as
or
mentally
else.
daft
It could be
as
anything.
Her boss, who
there was so much lack of coordination there. That was aided. That wasn't natural.
Yeah, no, but she's such an odd person anyway. You watch her in interviews and stuff, and maybe she's just drunk all the time, or maybe she's just mentally deficient.
She pulled a Pelosi? Is that what you said? Yeah. Oh, not the Pelosi.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should run it back one more time and then actually talk about the two-way stuff.
Okay.
I think that's fair, right? All right, let's do it again.
I'm pointing to the direction of what I believe is the Capitol. And what needs to happen in terms of people who otherwise have evidenced themselves having a feckless quality.
Look at those eyes.
Show some courage to reject the false notion that suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away, when in fact it's just reasonable. I support the Second Amendment, but it's reasonable to say we need an assault weapons ban. It's reasonable to say we need universal background checks, that we need red flag laws. It's reasonable to say that if you want to deal with violence in the community, you also got to understand it's not only about mass shooting situations, which are horrific, and it's about everyday gun violence.
All right, so
everyday
this touches upon my butt rule, does it not?
It does.
It touches upon my butt rule. What is the butt rule? When a politician or anybody is speaking and they say something like, I support the Second Amendment, but you can disregard everything that came before the word but, and then you can just kind of focus on where they go after that, because that's what they're really thinking. I support the Second Amendment, but I want to take away anything that loads itself. I want to take away your Fifth Amendment rights. I want to just have the police kick in your door. I want people to, and to be able to make sure that your gun is locked up. We know what guns you have, where they're stored, when they're there, when they're not there, where you take them, who you are, what you buy. And then we want to put a tax on all of it. That's what you have to pay attention to. Ignore everything before the but.
Absolutely.
And then everything after the but is what they're really trying to do or thinking. Anyway.
No, I completely agree. I think it qualifies as touching your butt.
Yep. She touched my butt.
Rule. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah,
nope,
but
she touched my butt.
Legitimately,
yep.
She did. She touched your butt. So as you're going through this, a few things that stand out. Of course, the butt rule was absolutely applicable. Well played. They can't seem to resist that.
No.
But
but
the other piece is she goes down the very simple things she always says: AR bans or assault weapons bans, red flag laws. But something else that really struck me there is at the very end where she contrasts mass shootings, which are horrific, but then also everyday gun violence.
Yeah.
What expound upon that?
Yeah,
Kamala. What do you mean?
I'd be curious where the clip goes from there. But yeah, everyday gun violence has nothing to do with your assault weapons, sweetie.
It's weird.
We have been doing, goofy gun grabber segments where we're showing the typical firearm taken off criminals out of New York City because they proudly post those junk guns on the internet. Those are the types of firearms being used in your everyday gun violence, and the everyday gun violence is typically inner city drug turf war gang violence. That's where the vast majority of these shootings come from. It isn't, Joe Bob, gunning his wife down at the dinner table. That's not what's happening here, right? She kind of touched upon it, but they got to be very careful with that one, because while they think they have the political capital to take your AR-15 away, they know damn well they don't have the political capital to take your 1911 away, 2 world wars. So that's what they have to be very careful of. And I'm really surprised she went there, and I'd be curious to see where it goes after that, because she probably had to walk that one back.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They can't say their true intentions, which again goes to something that fuels me in this fight that I do every single day, is they are genuinely trying to cater and frame a message to a target demographic audience without saying the whole story, but just saying enough to get them to actually vote themselves out of their own rights. They are a bunch of wolves inviting a bunch of sheep to dinner and not telling them what's on the menu. And that right there is the part that's so disgusting to me, because these are rights. I mean, imagine this. I always say this, but imagine this from a First Amendment perspective. From a First Amendment perspective, if you say, well, everything is good, but your freedom of speech is not unlimited.
Right.
Like you can't criticize the dear leader. What kind of bad thing does that do for the national unity?
This is a Bill Clinton law that he discussed wanting passed back in his day. They wanted to make it illegal to negatively speak, the media, the mainstream media, negatively say anything negative about a political candidate leading up to a presidential election. You remember that?
Fairness doctrine.
Is that what it was called? So they basically said, hey, X number of months before an election, the mainstream media can't run these negative stories. And that's where their minds are.
How'd that go?
Right? I mean, but people got up in arms about that because of the First Amendment. You should be able to say whatever you want about any politician. That's a protected right. Right? And so, yeah, if you compare...
You know what else is protected?
What?
The second one.
Second one.
The gun.
Oh, guns? Guns are protected? No.
The one right after. Yes!
No, can't be.
They do. They are. Yep.
Nope. Don't believe it. Not
Every
for
day.
a second.
All the time.
Right.
All day. Every day.
Yep. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And, Kamala Harris, what a great way to end an episode, because she's just so much fun. She's just too easy.
Some roughage.
Yeah, she's just too easy to pick on. All right, get out of the gutter, because you're hanging out with Kamala. We'll talk to you guys soon.